On to the next Titan Master. Of all things, I have decided to bring out the second Titan Master that I got, which technically wasn't mine, but I kept when me and my ex broke up. Krok. In some ways, I actually like this guy better than the guy he's based on. Yes, I know there was a Krok Action Master from the 1980s, but he is totally Skull Crusher from Titans Returns redone. We're going to take a look at him, and here we go. And here he is, Krok. Probably one of the weirdest ones that I've seen, because his previous incarnations was first an Action Master, and then a plane that was an exclusive repaint of Megatron with a remolded head, and for some reason came with a gator gun, just like the Action Master. I actually like this version better than the Skull Crusher, Skull Cruncher, whatever the hell he is, because the color scheme is a little better. Yeah, it's got this god-awful bright yellow, but it's a lot better than green and purple. Okay, his head in beast mode actually can move. His mouth opens and closes. He's got coloration on the inside of his mouth. I think they attempted to do light piping, but it failed miserably. His tail moves back and forth, mostly because it's just on a little peg back there. These arms can stretch out, but he can't lift himself very high. He is a crocodile. He's actually an alligator, not a crocodile. Crocodiles can actually stand on all fours and move rather quickly, where alligators are, or is it the other way around? I don't know. Don't really care either. In his back is the cockpit, where the little guy that came with him, that they're calling Gatorface, which is basically the Action Master of Krok, is stored. He's like all of the head bots that they commonly call Titan Masters were. He's got ball-jointed arms that have even less movement than the normal ones, the typical hip and knee-jointed legs, the ball-jointed head that doesn't really serve any purpose in this form, and his transformation is the same as all of them. I love this face sculpt. It is a lot better than the other thing. Even with this god-awful green-yellow coloring, he still looks better in the face than Skull Crusher does. Okay, now on to the bot. Let's get him transformed. Now, though the head is removable, there's no reason to do it, and he's just basically, the head becomes a backpack. You flip out the tail. The legs don't hold together very well on this one. Honestly, I kind of thought he looked a lot like his Action Master version from way back when. He's one of the few Titan Masters that I have that I actually have a display for. I'm not showing that in this review. I might in a future review, because some of you guys might actually be interested in the displays that I build. And since I'm planning on going back to doing them, it'd probably be a good idea to show it off. I haven't shown any of the bases. I have actually quite a few bases, most of them for Legends. Okay, they should have actually put those, what do they call them? Steel spurs. The spurs for these guys on him because he has trouble standing. Okay. Okay, there we go. We'll get him to stand that way. And we'll take a look at his tail, which is the weapon. Okay, one of the things about this, I love how the tail is just tipped off by his gun. But I also like the fact that it's more or less built to be able to use as a gun for defensive gun for one of the base mode from the Titan Masters. Pop that up. He just sits right in there, and you put the gun back in, and there you go. He's now manning a gun. I kind of like that. But as a weapon, it makes no sense. They should have done the Skull Cruncher classic style with the sword instead. Give you your gun. Give you your tail gun. Seriously, they should have done the, this should have been able to flip all the way around so he could actually grab onto it and hold it like a sword. Because I know the Skull Cruncher is, that Skull Cruncher is exactly the same as this guy. And just pop the head in, and there you go. He actually looks like his Action Master version with that god-awful color scheme and everything else. But he actually transforms, something you can't say about the original one. Okay, articulation-wise, his shoulders, he can go like this, you know, basically trying to smack himself in the head. That's mostly due to transformation. Has full degree of movement. He's actually on a ball joint, so he gets a lot more movement. Swivel at the just below the shoulder. Swivel just below the elbow. Elbow gives 90 degrees. And nothing but that at the wrist. He has a waist swivel, which is not something you could say about the other two that I've shown so far. His legs can move forward that far, back that far. He can do the splits. He has a swivel at the thigh, a knee joint that gives, well, if you want to do it, he can do more than 90, but he's only about 90 degrees. Nothing at the ankles except for the toes going up and down. That actually does help if you want to pose the guy standing like this. But other than that, he's pretty much static from that point on. I actually like this guy. I have to admit, he's actually better color scheme, even with the god-awful yellow, than Skull Crusher. He looks pretty damn good. I just wish that they could have done something with the hands, and maybe his head would have been better as a weapon. But, well, actually, yeah, you can do this. You can do that, but honestly, I think he would have been better if this had been a sword, had been his club sword thing from the original Skull Crusher style, and altogether, he just is not one of the most posable guys out there. He's usually in beast mode on the shelf on mine, because what I built for him was a swamp, but it can be displayed either way. and I'll show that in a future video. Hope you guys enjoyed this little review. I'm trying to get a little bit better about showing off things like the articulation and whatnot, because I'm going to start getting into bots that I have not seen anybody review, because they're older bots and most people think they suck, which they kind of do, but honestly, I'm going to review what I got. So, that's Krok, and